Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode with Liam McCroary. Really humbled to have been able to interview Liam, and I got a lot out of this one. Really hope you do too. Also, really humbled to the feedback I've received this year. So, thanks so much for watching, listening, and enjoying the content that we've delivered so far this year. If you're new or if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe on whatever channel you're listening or watching on, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. Really helps the podcast overall. And also, lastly, a huge thanks to my good mate, Stevie Gullen, who was the first to buy me a coffee and support the podcast. If you want to join this exclusive club and are getting value out of the podcast, please buy me a coffee and support me. The link is in the show notes. Anyway, on to the interview with Liam. Hope you enjoy this one. Welcome, Liam, to this Hustle, Heart and Innovation podcast. Thanks a lot for coming on. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thanks very much for having me. Looking forward to it.
Right, mate. I've got a few quick fire questions before we start for you.
All right.
So the way I do these is get ChatGPT to find you and then get it to tell me what quick fire questions it would ask you. Now,
All right, cool.
So, singles or doubles?
Singles.
UK or abroad?
UK.
Go and tell me then which one specifically. Glasgow, aye. And then ice bath or sauna?
Oh, ice bath.
Right, I think a good place to start with you, mate. Tell me about your sporting background. Where you're obviously up at the elite end of Hyrox just now, but tell us a bit about your sports.
Grew up playing football literally every night of the week, and that's kind of where it started for me. I was basically at boys club level, and then from there I went to Alloa. Signed with Alloa. That was my kind of first senior team. Then I kind of progressed through the ranks there, and then I went to Hearts. I was at Hearts for about 4.5 years, and then from there I went to Wraith Rovers, where I was full time. And then from there I ended up going to kind of like Stennismuir, junior teams and stuff like that. Yeah, like thinking back, like I think I maybe won the cross country championships at the school and stuff like that as well. But apart from that, it was more or less just football the whole time.
When you get into those types of environments in football, beyond boys club, you do need to be quite fit though. So you obviously develop quite a lot of disciplines, strength, fit. When you say football, it's not like you're just a technical football player. You've got to have those. Were you always one that was one of the sort of fitter in the teams? Was that where you sort of excelled?
Yeah, like it, even school and stuff like that. Like I would probably always win the bleak test. I was fascinated with like the gym and stuff like that as well. So when I was at Hearts, like we had mandatory gym sessions like 2 or 3 times a week, and like I would never miss them. I would always go do my extras and stuff like that as well. So like even after games, like even when I was at kind of a wee bit older at like Stennismuir and Dunny Pace and stuff like that, like if I didn't play the full 90 minutes, I would go and do extra runs after the game and stuff like that. So I did get slagged for being like busy and stuff like that, but it wasn't like so much to show off for that. I was just more for my own like satisfaction. Like if I didn't play the game, I wanted to go and do extra runs because I was going out for my tea on the Saturday night. So I just always got that buzzy like training, and like I just love training. So football was good for me to kind of like express a competitiveness and maybe like try and make a career at it. But like I would like go to training and then maybe go and do a spin class, or I would always do extra. So I loved being active.
Why do you think you were so geared for extra training and the gym?
I'm not too sure. I think it's just like it's in my blood. Like I just one of these
Have you
people
got
that
like family history of athletes or anything like
my
that?
brother played at a decent level. He won like the Scottish Cup, like back when like boys club. There's quite a big gap between me, my brother, and my sister, and myself. There's like 13 years between us. So, like I kind of like grew up watching him play football. But again, like he won the Scottish Cup at Hampden with the kind of local boys club. I think he had trials with Falkirk. He was at Falkirk for a bit.
So I'm just trying to. That sounds more of like a youth football career rather than a senior football career. What's the bit between you start? Because I think you've been in Hyrox 2 years, haven't you?
Yeah.
So what's the bit between
Yeah, so like I played. I think like I maybe made like two appearances for Wraith Rovers. Like even on the bench, I didn't even really get on the park. I was on the bench more or less. Then I went to Stennismuir, where I was more senior there. That was probably more my senior career. But even at that, I made like maybe 12, 13 appearances off the bench. And then from there, I went to Cumbernauld Colts, Lowland League.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I went to Camelin, Dunny Pace. So I kicked about those leagues for 4 or 5 years. When I was at Dunny Pace, and like it was nothing. It was probably the best change room I've been in, probably the best manager I've had. But like my kind of like my heart and my desire for football just was like it was a chore. Like I just didn't get a buzz at it anymore, and like I found myself like more kind of gravitating towards like not so much Hyrox, but it was more like functional fitness, like circuits in the gym, and like I was getting a bit more of a buzz out of that than going training on a Tuesday Thursday night. So, like before games and training, I used to just get like a bit flat, and particularly before games, I used to get quite nervous in case I made a mistake and stuff like that. So. I used to like I just questioned like is this what I really want to be doing myself for the next like 10, 12 years is like giving up my Saturdays and stuff like that to go and play junior football as such. So yeah, I kind of more and more gradually gravitated towards like the gym. Not so much lifting weights, but like I done CrossFit for a wee bit. Running as well. I kind of got a bit more into like running and stuff like that. And yeah, I used to like before training at Dunny Pace, I used to go to the gym for like an hour and a half, do like a functional kind of high roxy circuit, home, quick protein shake, banana, and then go and train for like 2 hours.
Why do you think, as you sort of get on in football a wee bit, why do you think we sort of get over it?
I'm not sure. I think like it depends on obviously depends on what level you're at as well. Like if I was maybe playing at a higher level of football, I probably would have been playing in front of maybe 10, 15 people. Doesn't really quite do it. Like and I never played in front of big crowds or anything like that, but like playing in good stadiums
Yeah,
and playing in good surfaces and that it gives you a bit more of a kind of I like doing this kind of thing. Whereas like the lower leagues you go to and stuff like if you've probably been there yourself, turn up to some parks and stuff, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm giving up my weekend first to come here.
yeah, yeah.
So
The
I,
sort of I know what you mean. It's like the what you're getting out of it from a satisfaction perspective kind
I,
of begins to deteriorate a wee bit.
and like in the team as well, there was boys that were probably doing the same as me, and obviously you kind of gravitate towards these guys as well. Like there is boys that just turn up Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, train, and that's it. That's all they do. But I think like certainly in the modern age, the gym is becoming a lot more popular. Like people like Hyrox is becoming a lot more popular and stuff like that. So there was boys in the team doing it, and I don't know. Maybe it's just a case of they're maybe a bit scared to just try something new, because it's
Yeah.
all they've ever knew. And I think like I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to kind of find something else that lets me feel like I'm back full time, playing at a high level in football.
Football's like a very team environment sport. High
Yeah.
rocks is a very individual environment sport.
Uh,
Do have you noticed anything positive, like pros or cons, going from team to individual?
I'll be honest, like the kind of difference between like doing team sports for so many years to now basically competing. Oh, obviously do doubles, but more or less individually, it's like I'm loving it. It's great. Like
Yeah,
everything's on me. What I do in training, what I do away for training, on race day, it's like there's no hiding place. It's just me. Whereas like, and I can only let myself down, unless obviously I'm doing doubles. But um, what I used to find really like nerve wracking about football was that like if I make a mistake or if like I'm letting my teammate down, and that was the only thing I really worried about was letting boys down because that's what be pals with it.
do you
No,
train on your own?
I do. I used to just go to the gym and do circuits myself for as long as I can remember. And don't get me wrong, like now I really do enjoy training with people, but only if I'm writing the workout. But at the same time, like I like training with people, but even at that, I'm like, are they enjoying this? Like, is this too much? Is this not enough for them? And like a lot of the stuff I do is quite monotonous. Like I'll spend like 10, 15 minutes warming up. But like I see a big drive in like group fitness and I can see a massive benefit for it. But it's just I don't know, maybe it's just like my OCD that I need to.
I also get the sense you're not doing it for like a social outcome. You're doing it for, a physical outcome. You're doing it to compete rather
Yeah,
than to like group fitness a lot of the time. That's to improve together or experience a workout together or a place together.
I'm in training to do a job. Like I'm trying to, hit certain paces and get the right stimulus. And like I do train with people to be fair, but one thing I do want to start doing is start running with like start a run club or run with people because that is one thing I do struggle with. Like when I run with people, I feel like I get a lot more out of my session. Hyrox sessions and gym sessions and that I'm quite happy to just do myself. But running, I felt that like if I like push myself and if I'm quite shy of doing that and running in particular. So that's something that I'm hoping to try and start basically as like running with guys that are what I run. And
How did Hyrox start for you? How did you hear about it? What was, how did you start even thinking I'm going to train for this?
I think one of my mates, Pete, was right into Hyrox and he says that I should do it. And so didn't even really know what it was. Went on to the website, had a look at the workout. So that could be a bit of me that. Done like you could get like Hyroxy workouts on their website and stuff like that. So I gave a couple of them a try. And then I ended up getting a ticket for London, which was like was it December time. So me and the missus booked I had a free weekend actually. So me and the missus booked a weekend into London. Not so much to do Hyrox, but well, I had a ticket. I was going to do it, but it was just more a case of like, I'll go to London and I'll do the Hyrox on the Saturday night. And then my start time was I signed up for the men's pro, and it was
Straight in with pro, not an open
no,
beforehand.
I just went right in. Like I knew I was fit, so I wanted to just try the pro and just see how I go on. And like I said, I like a challenge, and I was hoping to kind of like be humbled a wee bit. I was, but I wanted to like test myself a wee bit. I had a free weekend, so we had booked dinner and stuff like that for after it. So I was get a good session in before dinner. And yeah, we went down to London on the 6 o'clock flight in the morning, like first thing in the morning. So we're up at like 4. Done the full open top bus, Harrods, the full like London experience. Went back to the apartment and I literally like tried to get as much food as I could in as possible. And yeah, went to the start line. Literally, I'd done like 25, 30,000 steps on the start line. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was my first race. Then I think I earned 2.
Oh wow! Right, even after a day like that. Okay.
But it was all like just running. Like I just
Mm.
honestly, I think I took like 5 minutes on the sled pull, like 4 minutes on the push, but I was just like no pacing strategy whatsoever. Just blasted the full the full 1K runs. And yeah, I was like an hour and 2, an hour and 3, which thinking back was good because that was the old sleds. It was the venue was roasting as well, so I was quite actually on reflection, I was quite chuffed for that time. I
It
came,
was probably was it 3 laps as well that one?
I think it
Like
was,
2.8. Yeah, so quite
yeah,
a lot of turns as well. So
yeah, that's
aye.
right. So I came third overall, got the podium. And literally the next again day on the Sunday, I said to my missus that that's me done with football. I'm just going to do this. And God's honest truth, like to this day, I've not touched the ball since.
Why like what about it did you think make you think, right, that's it. This is what I'm going to train and live for.
Just like, well, just got the buzz for it. Just got love for it. I just felt that race and that opportunity was like just it was right there. So I says, let's just I'm just gonna. So I had to like I felt so bad, but I phoned my football manager like the following week and says, look, going
I've
to take
got I've got another Hyrox book, so
going to take a break for football. Like I want to pursue because at the time I was working with CS Fitness, like a gym in Falkirk. So I was doing
yeah.
classes and that. So I was genuinely like really busy, and that was like my passion at the time. So I was taking classes and stuff like that. So I said to my manager, like, I'm too busy with the classes, I want to pursue this. But obviously, like, I was deep down inside with the athlete inside me wanted to like really pursue Hyrox as much as I could
So,
really.
what, so you said because you got a buzz out of then. So are you purely thinking this is going to be a great way to train and exercise and compete, not the and like performance mindset rather than there could be commercial opportunities here.
Oh,
There
I was nah, didn't think any about that at all because
because you're probably not getting paid much for playing football anyway. So it's not
no,
like you're thinking that's going to
exactly.
replace an income stream. Yeah. Okay.
Aye,
Yeah.
no, it was more the fact as well that Hyrox was going to allow me to have the flexibility to train when I wanted, compete when I wanted, and
Get your
obviously
weekends
working.
back. Mhm.
I like working 8 till 4, and then coming in for a couple of hours and then going out to train for like 7:30 till 9:30, 10 o'clock. Like I was, to be honest, I was fed up it. I just wanted to like now I get up in the morning, even though like now I'm at a different, I kind of in a different place, but like I get up in the morning, I'll run, go to work, go to gym, and I'm home for like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So it's whereas football, I was getting in at like 10, having my dinner, and I was just fed up with that routine. So yeah, it's like, and the one thing about that race as well was at the finish line, I was gubbed. Like I was never felt so like gubbed in my life, and I was like I haven't like played football for years, but you come in and like you're tired physically and mentally, but like never to the point where you're absolutely shattered. And that was the big attraction for me was that wow, that was solid, like that was proper solid, and like I can see myself being able to train this way 2 or 3 times a week. And I like I don't know if it's just me, but I get a bit of a buzz when you're that gubbed that after it you can relax for a day or two, and you can do all your recovery methods and stuff like that as well. So that was one thing that it did. It humbled me a bit, and it was the first time that I'd been like because I'd been in such a routine of like training, playing. You're used to you go through the motions a wee bit, whereas that was like something totally different, and it absolutely like it gubbed me for like a few days. But I like that.
I remember hearing Ronkovic say something really similar. It was like it was the hard, like he'd been a swimmer, like at a really good level, and then he said he did that, and he was like, I loved it because it was so hard,
Aye,
and
literally, aye.
that then has to fit into your life, right? You've talked about working 8 to 4. When did you join the prison? So tell me a bit about your work, like how you got into your work, what your day to day looks like in work.
When I left Wraith Rovers, I signed with Stennismuir, and so I was full time at Wraith Rovers. So Stennismuir was part time, so I kind of had to get a job. I got released for Wraith Rovers on like I think it was June, July time, and start of August I was on a building site, and it was the most like depressed I've ever been. I was doing like fiberglass and like putting insulation up in ceilings, and I genuinely used to stand like every day, like what the hell is going on? Like I need to find something I want to do. So one of my friends worked in the prison, and he said that I would be a great fit for like that kind of job through my experience in football and all that kind of thing as well. And obviously there's a gym in the prison as well. So I was under the impression that I would be able to get a job in the gym and stuff like that. So I applied, and like 3 or 4 months later I got accepted, and that's kind of where my career started. So I've been in there 9 years now, and yeah, it's like I'm day shift, so I'm Monday to Friday, and yeah, like I'm up early in the morning, get up at 5:30. I'll go out do running or different types of runs like long run, threshold, or the intervals, that kind of thing. I'll then come home, have a shower, changed, and then I'm in work for 8ish, and then yeah, I'll like do my first half of my day at work, come home at my break, prep food, try and have a quick nap if I can, try and relax for a wee bit. I'm fortunate. I only stay like 4 minute, 3 minute drive from my work, so it's quite handy. I'll then go back to work, do the second half of the kind of day, and I'll like have my lunch and that at work. Come home for about 30 minutes just to kind of decompress, have a wee bit of kind of transition between like job and then try and go into a bit of an athlete kind of thing. Then I'll go and train. whether it's like strength or do another run or do a kind of erg session or whatever it is, second session of the day, until about 7:30, 7 o'clock, and then I'll come home, have my dinner, and then just chill. So I'm fortunate enough I don't actually work a Friday now, so I dropped a Friday. So a Friday, Saturday, Sunday is like 3 good solid training days as well. A Friday like I'm off, so like I'll train first thing in the morning. I'll come home, recover. I'll then train again in the afternoon. So basically the Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday I'll do like a Hyrox session. So like those 3 days is like getting to be a full time athlete as such.
People that I know that have worked in the prison service always say it's quite challenging.
Mm.
Is it?
It's got its moments. I mean, it can be challenging at times mentally. But like where I work in Pullman, we've got a mixture of like young offenders, adults, females. So like we're working with loads of different like populations as such. So it is like Pullman's more or less like a kind of, for the adults it's more like a progression jail. So we've got a lot of kind of low risk prisoners and that. So like a lot of the guys are like they're easy, they're good guys, like they're good to deal with and stuff like that. The young offenders can be a bit more challenging, but like I said, it's like it depends on. I think it depends on who you are as well. If you're a good officer and can build good relationships with these guys, then like I think that makes your job a lot easier. And I've found that through like my experience in football and Hyrox and stuff like that like you can talk to guys all day long about the gym, and they'll take to you like they love talking about fitness and the gym and boxing and stuff like that. So I think that's a good way of building relationships with them. So if you can build a relationship with a prisoner, then in my opinion, anyway, it makes your job a lot easier. And that's ultimately why we're there, is to build relationships with these guys and try and help change their lives as such.
So you said you go home for half an hour to decompress. Is that to decompress? Because even building relationships with people and having to think about what that means in their moments that they have in their lives, particularly young offenders who probably do, you'll have people that have got mental health aspects that are associated with some of the elements they're at in their life. Is that 30 minutes to decompress from that, or is that 30 minutes to just decompress from any job? And
I think like I don't want my work to affect like the athlete side of me, and I don't want the athlete side to affect my work, even though like it does to a certain degree. It does. We try to get time off and that kind of thing, but like if I've had like a stressful day at work, then like I just like to kind of just sit for 15, 20 minutes in the living room and scroll
clear
through
your head.
any
What
train.
is a stressful day for work at work?
Just like just getting asked millions of questions. The guys about like visits and
Mm.
dates and obviously like if you've ever had an incident or having to do reports. And again, like you're dealing with guys that are pretty much can be locked up 23 hours a day sometimes, which obviously that in itself can bring issues, I think. So yeah, just like if there's ever any like issues or in the prison and stuff like that, then that can obviously be stressful. But on the whole, like it's a good place to work, to be honest.
So earlier on, we were mentioning sort of monotonous training, and you obviously described a pretty, like, your days are taken up by quite a lot of training, work, thinking about how to prepare for your next training or work.
Mhm.
What does discipline mean to you?
I think just like being consistent, and just doing the things that you believe are right, that's going to kind of progress you. Um, I've always been really disciplined with like my sleep, my nutrition, all the kind of external factors. Like training's easy, but I think it's everything else that comes with that can be quite difficult, and that's where I think discipline comes in. See, like a lot of people training like really doing really hard sessions, and then maybe no training for a day or two, or going out on a night out. These kind of things. Like I think that's certainly what I believe can separate you for this level to that kind of level. But like, you can still have a life, but I just think it's just being like picking the right times and choosing when to go out, choosing when to have a late night sleep and stuff like that. I think that discipline, that's what I see discipline as, and I think like I need to make sure that I've had instead of one good day's training, I've had a good week's training and stuff like that. I think that in itself discipline. There's like a lot of people like to just do this big massive Hyrox session, but maybe not do their strength sessions or miss their zone two stuff and miss their easy work and that kind of thing. Like I think all that kind of it's more just like how many sessions you can compound and being disciplined in that sense, as opposed to having like one amazing training session or two amazing training sessions a week. But I just doing the work that a lot of people don't really see. Like on Instagram, like I've got pictures of me for my racing and like on a podium and in the Elite 15 and that, but 9 times out of 10, like they didn't see that I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, like in the winter, like running around in the pitch black in the park, or jumping a 6 foot fence to get on the track because the track's shut.
Hello, me again. Hope you're really enjoying this episode with Liam. If you're getting value out of it, please don't forget to subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. Also, why not drop us a comment if you're on YouTube or Spotify? Let us know how you are finding this episode so far. And again, if you are enjoying, a reminder, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the notes. Back to the episode. If you want to be the best in front of thousands, you've got to be better than thousands when they're not looking. So those sacrifices you mentioned, maybe some relationships, maybe some social situations, doesn't sound like you're willing to sacrifice your sleep. You sound quite balanced and like you're quite accepting of those sacrifices.
But that's what I choose to do. You know what I mean? It's like I don't really go out like on nights or anything like that. Like my mates have just stopped asking me to go to get up, Um, but I think it's just like I think it's only really a sacrifice though if you see it as that kind of sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like I'm choosing to do that at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like I'm literally living my dream. So like getting up, being able to train when I want, compete at a good level and stuff like that. So like I'm choosing to make these
Yeah,
sacrifices. So
and
like
and feel like you're absolutely your best. See, as soon as I asked that, I was like, Liam's not seen this as a sacrifice. He's seen this as like a good way of life, which
aye,
it's just a different way of framing it, isn't it?
aye.
I honestly didn't realize you went straight into podium on pro, right? So I know you say the next day you said to your missus, right, I'm going to go for this. But when did you think, actually you could get right up to the high end of the sport? Like I looked at the standings, you were either 10th or 11th on the current track, and you were 8th in the last major in Warsaw. So that's like the top 0.01% of the people that do this. When did you think this is where I can aim for?
It was when my second race, my next race after that, I think it was Glasgow, and it was Jake Dearden was first, and then I came second overall. And I think it was more when I was like in Glasgow that I made a kind of I opened my eyes and said that like this is big, this is a big sport. Like there's a lot of people interested in this. And I think like from my first race in London, I didn't really get that feeling, but I think it was because it was like I was in London and whatever else. Like I was getting tagged on things on Instagram and that, but I didn't really look at it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like probably the race in Glasgow, which was maybe like 3 or 4 months after that. And then I think after that I done the World Championships in Nice. I think I came like 8th overall. And it was at that point that I knew I wasn't training right enough. I wasn't training like the way I should be for Hyrox. Like I was still going down to like the football pitch with my football boots on and like doing like shuttle runs and that.
Mm, uh, uh,
So like I was training all wrong for it. So it was after the World Championships in Nice. Then that's when I realised that like you can make a career out of this, because I watched like the elite race and I started following these guys and getting a bit of an insight into them and like looking at like as you do in football, you look at what the top guys are doing. So that's what I started doing, and then I realised that like a couple of them were maybe full time at the time or just going full time, and then I realised that they were sponsored, and that's when you start looking at the guys at the very top, you start realising that you can do well out of this. And again, it wasn't I didn't ever didn't chase it for that. I just loved the style of training, loved the sport, and it just so I think that's maybe why I've been able to kind of progress, because I didn't really feel like pressure and like that through that side of things. I'm not chasing that. I'm more just chasing doing well and try to get better as an athlete.
Coming with doing well, podiuming regularly does come attention though, which then comes a bit of an opportunity to change your lifestyle and
Oh yeah.
start to develop a personal brand.
Uh-huh.
Have you had to reset your sort of your mentality about that a wee bit now with the profile that you've got?
A wee bit, but like I'm just the same guy. Like just always, always honest. Just say what I think. And I think like certainly with the Elite 15 and like you said, like podium and stuff like that, there has been a lot of kind of opportunities that have cropped up through that. Certainly like through media and like obviously do a full media day at the Elite 15. So like certainly had to embrace that a lot more. But again, it brings it. I think it's bringing out the best of me as well. Like I'm a lot more confident. Like I enjoy it. I actually enjoy it. I like telling my story. I feel like I've got quite a kind of good story as well. Like I'm, quite an interesting background, and I've got quite an interesting job in that as well. So like, yeah, just talking about my life and stuff like that, I enjoy it. So I don't, yeah.
Yeah. The things I was thinking that sort of come with this aspect. So you're right, like media days, social media profile. I'm guessing you've probably never had too much media training or like social media training before. Does doing any of that stuff phase you or give you any anxiety or
Again, like I've not done any sort of media stuff or anything like that, but I've generally like anytime I'm talking to anybody, I'm always just really honest and tell my story. Didn't try and like sugarcoat anything or like that. I'm just literally just be myself, and I think that's the kind of person I want to try and first like show who I am. Basically, you know what I mean? Like I'm not. I want to like let my results do the talking as opposed to going out and saying, "Oh, I'm going to break the world record. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." More or less, every race I'm getting better. So I think that's what I want to try and show off is that I'm getting better. I know what I'm doing, kind of thing, and I want to let my results do the talking as opposed to trying to be quite controversial with what I'm saying and stuff like that. So
I mean, you definitely are not a sort of clickbait athlete, for want of a better phrase. I'm following some of your races over the last couple of years. I've thought you've been very balanced, and in I said emotional control earlier. There's been a couple of times where I thought you've either been hard done by or like you missed out on the world's Elite 15 this time by about 20 odd seconds.
yeah.
But your response to that has been I'm on the flight path I want to be on, rather than the heat I was in wasn't the heat I should have been in XYZ. You're very much I'll do what I can do. Is that sort of something that's just in your fabric?
Oh, I don't get me wrong. There has been times in races where I have got quite emotional, where I've been hit with 2.5 minute penalties in Vienna.
Yeah,
That was emotional. But I just laugh it off because the race after that I ran my second fastest of our time, and then I think the race after that I came eighth in the Elite 15. So I know that like one race doesn't define you, and certainly like everybody will be looking at like, oh, how's Liam doing in these racing, and like they're looking for you to kind of have a bit of a hiccup or whatever else. I think, but it's like I think I've always had setbacks in sport, especially for football. Not getting on the bench, not getting to start. So like I've had to deal with that for like a long, long time in football, and I think I've just built up that kind of mental resilience and that tough mentality as such. I'm quite thick-skinned, especially like the job I work in and that as well. So I try and not let a lot of things affect me. But yeah, in Vienna that was a shambles. But
it's a hard one to take, particularly when I don't think the penalties are rationalised that well. But there's always another race coming up. There's always another bit of training you can
Aye, and that's it. And it's like I've actually learned so much for that as well. Like I always try and look at like what can I take away for a race that if it didn't go my way, like so now like I got a penalty in Cardiff for my burpees for 15 seconds, but like that's just you're gonna run, especially if you're trying to go so fast, you're gonna get pick up penalties and
See, I was thinking about this recently, and see the relation to football there. You're always going to give away a free kick in a
mm,
game,
mm,
right? Now, you want to do the rules perfectly in an individual sport, but sometimes you just get caught up in the race. Sometimes you get caught up in your movement isn't the perfect movement,
aye,
and therefore, do you know what I mean? So
uh,
it's like, can we accept that we're maybe going to have one error a race? I think that seems acceptable. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely. Like I'm not trying to gain an advantage or anything like that. Be doing like it's just the way I like I'm fast at the burpees. Like that's my thing. You know what I mean? So, um, and to be fast at them, I think you do have to like no test the waters as such, but just be on that cusp of potentially getting a penalty because you're
Yeah.
just trying to like go at speed. So um, I think like if I do like last week, I showed that I learned my lesson in Vienna that like not to get emotional. Like last week, I got a 15-second penalty, and I laughed it off. Literally just laughed it off and says, "Well, just need to run a bit faster. I'll gain time on the wall balls," which I did. I nearly went unbroken. So like I think that's a lesson learned for Vienna to know that like I can then take setbacks and then look at it, analyse it, and say, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. If it does happen again, then I'm not going to get too emotional about it. And I think if you can like again, I think that generally that's probably what separates a lot of people like the elite kind of guys from your kind of like standard is that mentality as well. Like try and not let things affect you too much. If things don't really go your way.
Going through your Instagram, you're definitely got 3 or 4 sponsors, maybe.
Uh-huh.
How did they come about? Where like was there a point where you'd sort of podiumed so many times that somebody then introduced you, or you got X amount of followers on Instagram? When did these sort of start to come into your ether?
So I think, but in June time after World Championships, when I won the doubles World Championship with Danny Ray, I was approached by my manager. So I've got a manager now, Joe Billers, and I'm my protein athlete. So I signed with them in just about October time. And I've also got a performer. So I wore their lactate, so it's like a kind of in-time lactate tracking band, and does loads of different things. They've been absolutely amazing with me as well. So that's obviously another sponsor of mine. So, but hopefully things will start coming together in the future as well, like representing like Adidas and stuff like that. Or I've had kit drops from these big companies. So yeah, it's surreal. Genuinely, it's surreal that these opportunities can pop up. Like my protein have been amazing. Like we're doing like a shoot day in Manchester next week, ahead of World Championships, and like just to be even like to get to go down and do things like that, it's surreal. And they've been great. Obviously, like I'm one
I
of
think
the
see things like that just totally justify your decision to exit football. I mean, you wouldn't be getting the opportunity to go to all these cities all over Europe or the world. You mentioned Australia earlier on, and then getting involved with some of these big brands, even if it's like just on the periphery. Just you know what I mean.
Mhm.
There's
Ah,
there's some moments where you're like, did I make the right decision? When you hear these types of experiences, it's absolutely.
absolutely. Like I've been to like 20 different cities in like the last 2 years. Whereas like when I was at football, I was going to like Burnt Island Shipyard and Rosyth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
See, with those brands, are you beginning to feel any pressure to start to perform for those brands, or are you still just in the I'll perform for myself?
it's kind of a byproduct to like what I'm doing as such. Like I see it as like a privilege that these guys are wanting to like work with me and stuff like that. So, but to be honest, like that any company or any brand that I work with just now, they genuinely have just got your best interests. That's one thing I've noticed. Like obviously, like you've got your certain deliverables and stuff like that you need to meet, but like they're very much.
Like what type of deliverables?
Oh, just like you with a tattoo and I'm racing. couple of Instagram posts a month. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
honest, like
yeah.
they're genuinely like really good companies to work with, and that's a credit to my manager. Like he's obviously picked good companies and put my name forward to good companies to work with. Um, so yeah, it's like it's so cool to have these companies working alongside you and wanting to be involved. And like I said, I'm pretty much just wanting to do my best. And I think like you want to do your best for not just the companies, but your family and your parents and stuff like that when you're competing, obviously. But um, obviously they've got an interest in supporting you as well. So yeah, you feel a wee bit of pressure, but nah, no like massive to be honest. Because I think that because I've not put all my eggs into like one basket. Like I've still got a job at the end of the day, and I'm still kind of not living. Like my job keeps me quite grounded as well. Like I kind of see what I could be like guys that are in prison and talking to them and have about their background and stuff like that. So like being able to like train and whenever I want, travel whenever I want and stuff like that. That kind of gives you a realization of like kind of how bad things could be as such. You know what I mean? So
I've got that through this whole conversation. Your perspective, you can get perspective instantly, which a lot of people can't. You mentioned earlier that you weren't training right for when you went to the first Worlds. So first listener question we've got: what sports science do you use, if any?
it's pretty much I'm very particular with my training. I'll no go over my volume that I need to. I won't push it to try and gain a wee bit extra because I'm probably end up injured.
How do you determine what the volume is?
Well, I've got a coach, John Bull, who like pretty much is my main coach. Work with him through doing my running and my Hyrox stuff. I've then got a strength conditioning coach, who I've worked with for about 9, 10 years, who worked for Huddersfield first team. His philosophy around training and how you should move and ultimately like keeping you sharp and not just trying to make you the best Hyrox athlete, but trying to make you an actual, an all round kind of athlete as such. He's certainly been a big impact on me, not just through Hyrox, but like just through the way I see how people should train, how I should train myself. And yeah, like he works in Dubai now. He's done a session with Yamal for Barcelona. And like I've got a nutritionist as well now, as I've got in my corner. So I think like the better you get, and like the kind of the higher up the level you go, the more people that you want in your team as such, just to like try and bounce off and ask questions. That's one thing that I always do is ask like a million questions. Like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the point in doing this? And I'm always trying to learn as such as well. So,
it's quite interesting because I was expecting you to say more along the lines of like the performer stuff of I make sure I know what my lactates are, what my VO2s are. I'm monitoring them. Not so much what I would almost call the traditional sports science aspects that you mentioned there, but that's almost reminded me of like the fundamentals, if you like, of
aye,
sports science, if you know what I mean.
aye,
Yeah,
aye.
yeah,
Like I'll make sure that my sleep's right, I'm eating right, I'm training right, and then don't get me wrong, like I track my paces and my
yeah,
lactate. That's ultimately why I wanted to work with Performer because I want to get this 1-2% benefit. Like I've never had my VO2 tested or I've never been to a lab, but these are all things that I'm now going to start implementing. So like I think about it. Well, if I didn't even like to a certain degree, I don't really know what my threshold pace is.
yeah.
So if I can start implementing these wee 1%ers as well, then I think there's a lot of untapped potential in there. Hopefully, so.
Yeah, that so you've still got marginal gains to come.
Aye.
That means the PB you've got at the moment is definitely not your end PB.
No, like
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I believe that. Like I know for a fact that I need to get quicker at running, a wee bit stronger, and I think that will certainly be able to take me to another level. If I'm being honest.
So you're in the Red Bull start pen in Elite 15. What's going through your mind?
Like I started in my like first or second or third race, I used to get like so nervous. Like genuinely, my heart rate used to be like 120. I hadn't even moved.
Yeah,
So I've actually started like looking at a bit of psychology stuff. So like on the start line, like I'll just shut my eyes and try and breathe like really slowly, and like probably a lot of people do it, but like that's, and then in my head, like I just try and think about the first run, like getting that first run out of the way, getting the skier out of the way. That's I hate the skier, worst station ever. So like what's going through my head is get through the sleds and then hit the burpees hard, and then we'll see what happens.
So almost like visualization.
Aye, aye.
Yeah.
So I shut my eyes, breathe quite slowly, and then I visualise me like coming out third or second at the burpees, which like it's happened a few times in pro races, but in elite races doesn't always happen. But like that's how I want the race to go, you know. So I try and like just kind of visualize how I want it to go, and then I like I'll before you know it, the race is done. It goes that quick. And I always think about when it genuinely when like times are getting hard and stuff, you obviously get a wristband. So like when it's getting hard, I always say to myself, it's like a bit of a comfort thing. Like I'll squeeze that the wee bit of like tape that maybe just comes off the band.
Yeah.
I'll grab that and I'll like squeeze it like really really hard.
That's like on the line and then into the race. You mentioned squeezing the thing. Listener question from Chris: do you think of anything during the races or training when they get hard?
What I'm going to have like for food after it.
Oh, is it?
Aye. In a race,
Right.
like when it gets hard, I genuinely like, come on, like it'll not last. It's not going to last forever. That's one thing I said. It's not going to last forever. Like I've chose to like suffer, like put myself in this situation, like be in this kind of pain cave as such, if you want to call it that. So yeah, like I always just think about, right, you got a good. I always have I'll eat the chocolate milk after the race, and I'll always like think about in a race when it gets hard. I just like shut my eyes and think about think about my chocolate milk.
Your chocolate milk, that's your
Uh,
fix.
after the race,
Uh,
full liter of it. So that's what I think about as well. But like for training and stuff as well, I just try and again like I shut my eyes quite a lot and just think like this isn't going to last forever. Like if I'm working at a certain intensity that is really hard, then like it should kind of feel that way. I'm kind of trying to like get used to that feeling as such, like try and embrace that feeling because I know for a fact that it does feel like that in a race sometimes. Like it is horrible, but if I can just in training, if I can replicate that and like feel like I'm kind of accepting it as such, so I'm trying to like kind of trick my brain a wee bit into like feeling that when I'm in training and it's horrible, just saying to myself, well, this is what it's going to be like in a race, but it doesn't last forever. You know what I mean? It's like like a minute, if that.
it's
If
not
you're
meant to
pacing it
be
right anyway.
easy. It's not meant to be easy,
No,
or everyone
no,
would be doing
exactly.
it as
And
well.
there is times when it's felt absolutely horrible. But if it feels like that, then literally just like slow your run down,
Yeah.
until you're a bit more in control, until the RPE. So I always try and gauge it off RPE as well. Like I don't look at my watch when I'm racing. I'll just go off like how I'm feeling in the race. So like in Cardiff on the last run, I felt like shit because it was so early. Like it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I slowed my last run down going at the wall balls, and then like I nearly went unbroken. So like,
Um,
if like you can just if you're not feeling good, then just slow it down a wee bit and regain a bit of composure, and then when you're feeling a bit better, then you can push. But I think if you pace it right, if you pace everything right in a race, then probably should feel about a 7, 8 out of 10 the whole time, apart from like the wall balls or maybe the burpees or whatever. But
aye, that's you do need to listen to your like respond to your body in that sense. Even in the data sort of data aware world that we're in, it's also interesting just hearing the way you framed that because I interviewed a guy called Darren Murray recently, right? And he coaches.
he's a youth coach at Hearts when I was sitting
Aye, aye. Really, really passionate and interesting guy. But one of the things he says to the kids that he coaches now is like, you're only here for an hour a week. And I think that even about training, generally it's an hour a day. It's not like nobody's full start to end training is like intensely difficult, but you'll have periods in it. And it's same as you. It's like it'll end.
there.
Just endure it, accept it, and it'll end. And the level you guys are at for the pros, it's not even an hour. you're racing for on race day.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I've heard that doubles at your level is actually more intense than singles.
Aye, that's right. I would say so. I would say so. Because like you're obviously running probably 10 seconds, 15 seconds faster than what you normally do in the singles. And even though you're splitting the stations, like you're probably gonna like for example in the ski erg, like in a race I'll try and pull like 147 for 500s. But in doubles you're pulling like 133, 134. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Mm.
full on, but it's like it is a lot more intense, but you do get that break, and you are obviously grateful for that break. But the doubles, like I prefer the singles in terms of like it's all on me and stuff like that. But the doubles is like it is tough, it's hard, but like I do get a good buzz out of doing that as well. So like
And it's interesting just the differences in the formats, how they are, even though it's the on paper the same race, it's
yeah,
actually really different what it does to you
and I
mentally
think
and physically.
I think as the sport progresses as well, I think you will find that there will be guys that are just like suited to be doubles athletes and guys that are just suited to be singles. For me personally, I genuinely feel that I could actually be a better doubles athlete than a solos athlete. Well, my partner Danny, like we also won the world doubles under 30 world championships last year. So like I'm a good doubles racer. Danny picked up a bit of hamstring injury and we've not really raced since. So I've been racing with Graham Halliday, who again is like an incredible athlete. So we're obviously both Scottish as well. So it's a really good stimulus doing the doubles because the doubles is that hard that you end up like the solos doesn't feel as hard.
That's again, and again, it's counterintuitive because you would think it would be easier because you're getting a rest, but mentally you don't want to let your partner down. Physically, you're trying harder because you feel like you're going to get a rest. So actually, you come out a wee bit more spent. That's certainly how it sort of ends up playing out from what I've read and heard. A lot of these interviews, you can sort of like basically try and say to people, this is a hard and tough sport. How do you manage to deal with it? And you end up like unpicking things that almost sound like they've got like a negative connotation to them. What's been the most uplifting moments for you so far? The bits where you've actually went like, if I could bottle this moment or this feeling.
Certainly winning the doubles was a massive, like that was a really good buzz. That was a great feeling. Like one I'll always remember that day in Chicago. It was great. Again, racing in Warsaw, for me in the like 15, like coming out to a stadium like the Polish National Stadium, like 60,000 meter capacity stadium, was like again like what I dreamed about when I was, but obviously no through Hyrox, but for football.
But you're an elite athlete in this stadium in this
Exactly,
environment.
yeah. Like
That's fantastic.
yeah, it was amazing. Like the run out and that kind of thing. Like that was a moment I'll probably never forget either. Um, Again, like I think obviously all these moments are amazing, but I think the full journey itself, like the people I've met, the kind of people you can inspire and that kind of thing in itself is the biggest thing for me that I get out of it. Like all these moments are amazing, and I'll always cherish them. But like looking at the bigger picture, like the people, like, even in my work, like there's two guys that got to prison and came to watch me in Glasgow, and they end up doing that doubles together. And like the people I've met through it, like I've met like I just mentioned, like Graham and Danny and all these like really good people. So like that in itself is like a lot more valuable to me. I think like I said, the people I hopefully can inspire as well is like I think that's pretty much like you can't get any better than that, can you?
Nah, nah, not at all. And it's like people saying that they've went and done a race because it's something you do. That to me is, I think you can't get much more of like a relational connection than that to feeling like you've inspired somebody and therefore you've got good satisfaction.
Yeah.
I've got one more. You know this one, listener question. How did you get so fast on the burpees from Try Coach 50?
Uh, so I would say it's through like basics again, like doing my it's like see before every gym session I'll do like 3 or 4 sets of plyometrics, whether it's like standing broad jumps, like box jumps, like keeping me quite snappy, like quite sharp. I genuinely think that's kind of like transferred into like my burpees, to be honest, because when I look at it, what I'm beating the guys on isn't like how quick I'm doing them. It's like how far I'm jumping.
Right. Okay.
And it's not like a like massive broad jump, but I'm quite efficient at like every jump is pretty much like a good distance. I'm down. I'm kind of like up a wee bit quicker, and I'm jumping quite far. So like, I think there's obviously a strategy behind it. I think like my method and the way I do it is quite quick, quite sharp. Um, but yeah, like certainly feel that doing my plyometrics in the gym has like once or twice a week before run sessions or before the Hyrox session, just switching the whole system on and like keeping that keeping that kind of like rhythm going with my work has certainly transpired into my kind of station as such. Like I think in the elite I came in Warsaw I came 11th and came out 5th, so I jammed like a lot of spaces. So it's certainly a weapon that I like to utilise, and I would say it's all in the jump. That would be my thing. And but like obviously we'll try and get people to do like big massive long jumps, but like it's just staying efficient and trying to not go too quick as well. Like I'll do the knee up technique, so you can get a step up and then you get the knee up. So I'll do like the knee up technique pretty much the full way over, like pretty much the full way through the burpees, because it keeps my heart rate a wee bit lower. I've got a bit more power for my jump, and then the most important thing after it is the run. So like I've still got enough energy to then run fast out of the rock zone, which still is part of your time, and then back onto the run course. So yeah, I coach Robert, so I'll be making sure that
I was like, is the sales pitch for him or for someone else? Mate, I'm really humbled to have actually even been able to speak to you and interview you. The three things I wrote down, and I've sort of checked them off a few times as you were speaking, is that you seem like somebody that's very humble with perspective and like a really, really good mindset. The reason I say that is we've went through this whole episode, you've not mentioned that you're Scotland's fastest elite athlete, and you could have easily started with that and tried to get that out as your brand, but you completely haven't. So thanks a lot for your time, your honesty. I've loved getting to know you over the last few weeks. Good luck in what you're in the Worlds, and good luck for next season. Absolutely.
Top man. Appreciate it, mate.